You've been pleading with the universe for more money, more love, more peace, more opportunities. You've been trying to attract abundance. You've been visualizing day and night, and nothing is showing up. Or worse, things are actually getting tighter. The bills are piling up. The relationship is getting colder. The job feels like a prison. So you keep holding on tighter. You hold on to what little money you have left. You hold on to toxic friends because you're scared of being alone. You hold on to clutter because it feels safe. And the more you hold, the less you receive. And you cannot figure out why. Today, I'm going to tell you the exact reason why your life stays stuck, why your wallet stays thin, and why your heart stays heavy. And I'm going to give you a secret so powerful. It has turned broke housewives into millionaires and desperate entrepreneurs into industry leaders. It is called the law of vacuum. And you are about to discover why your desperate grip is the very thing keeping you empty. Let me take you back to 1962. A woman named Catherine Ponder was sitting in a tiny room. She had just gone through a devastating divorce. She was practically starting from zero. She had lost her husband. She had lost her home. And if you looked at her bank account, she had lost just about everything else. But Catherine Ponder refused to let her bank account determine her destiny. She was a minister, a thinker, and a woman on a mission to decode the spiritual physics of money. And what she discovered changed the landscape of prosperity consciousness forever. She wrote a book called The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. And inside that book, she buried a treasure that most people walk right past. She called it the vacuum law of prosperity. And here is the definition she gave. And I want you to lock this in your brain right now, because it is your one-way ticket out of survival mode. The vacuum law of prosperity states that to receive greater good or prosperity, you must create a vacuum by letting go of what you do not want, tangibles and intangibles, to make room for what you do want. That's it. That's the entire formula. But your mind is probably rejecting it right now. You are thinking, wait a minute, are you telling me that to get more, I have to get rid of what I have? And the answer is yes. Most human beings operate from a survival mentality. When the plane starts going down, they grab the nearest thing and they don't let go. When the fear of poverty creeps in, they tighten their fists on their paycheck. They refuse to give. They refuse to move. They refuse to change. And they live their entire lives suffocating because their hands are too full of garbage to receive gold. Or, as Randy Gage, a modern prosperity expert, puts it, you can create a vacuum when you go through your closet, sort out the clothes that don't fit. You can create a vacuum when you decide that your job won't really take you to where you want to go. You can create a vacuum when you separate yourself from a toxic relationship. I attribute my success to my ability to relentlessly create vacuums in my life. That right there is the missing piece. He said relentlessly create vacuums. It's not a one-time thing. It's a way of being. Look, nature abhors a vacuum. This isn't just spiritual fluff. This is physics. Aristotle knew it. Isaac Newton knew it. The universe literally cannot tolerate an empty space. If you create a void, the universe will break every rule in the book to fill it instantly. Think about a glass of water. If you drink half of it, does the glass stay half empty? No. Air rushes in to take the place of the water. The void gets filled. Or think about a crowded room. If 5 people walk out, do you just stare at 5 empty seats? No. 5 new people walk in. The energy in a vacuum is a force of suction. It draws things toward it. And yet, here you are, refusing to create a vacuum. Your life looks like a hoarder's basement. You're holding onto worn-out clothes, worn-out grudges, worn-out beliefs, worn-out jobs, worn-out lovers. And you are wondering why the universe can't find a place to land the blessing. I want to tell you a story. I know a woman in Atlanta who is drowning in credit card debt. She hated her apartment. It was dark, cluttered, and depressing. She hated her body. She had put on weight, and she hated looking in the mirror. And she was single, lonely, and convinced that the world had passed her by. One day, a friend handed her a copy of Catherine Ponder's book. She read the vacuum law, and she got mad. She was mad because she realized she was the problem. That night, she did something radical. She went to her closet. She had a closet full of clothes that didn't fit, clothes that reminded her of her ex-boyfriend, clothes that made her feel sad when she looked at them. She started throwing them in trash bags, not just organizing them. She was exorcising them. She filled 6 trash bags, and then she drove them to a shelter. That night, she went back to her apartment and she scrubbed the floors. She opened the windows. She let the sunlight in for the first time in months. She literally created physical space in her environment. Do you know what happened in the next 30 days? She got a call for a freelance job she had applied for months ago and had forgotten about. She made $1,000 in one weekend. Then she cleaned out her mental space. She started forgiving her ex. She stopped telling the victim story at brunch. She replaced "I'm broke" with "I'm a magnet for miracles." Within 6 months, she had paid off 40% of her debt. Within a year, she met a man who adored her. And she swears it all started with an empty closet. She created a vacuum, and the universe, having no other choice, filled it with a higher good. But let me get brutally honest with you for a second, because we tend to look at the law of vacuum and we think it only applies to physical junk. That is entry level. That is kindergarten. The real heavy lifting happens when you start looking at the emotional clutter. Catherine Ponder said, "When you hold resentment towards someone or something, you are bound to that person or condition by an emotional link that is stronger than steel. The practice of forgiveness is the only way to dissolve that link and be free." Steel. She said an emotional link stronger than steel. Think about that for a second. You think you're broke because of the economy. You think you're stuck because of your boss. You think you're lonely because there are no good people left. But the truth is, you are chained to a memory. You are chained to a betrayal that happened 10 years ago, and you are still telling the story. Every time you retell that story of how someone wronged you, you are pouring concrete into the vacuum. You are blocking the new love. You are blocking the new job, because the new job might actually require you to be happy, and you don't know who you are without the misery. I want you to take a deep breath where you are right now, and I want you to identify the steel chain in your life. Who do you need to forgive? Not for their sake, for yours. Because forgiveness is the ultimate act of creating a vacuum. When you let go of the hate, the fear, the jealousy, the self-pity, you create a massive void in your emotional field. And that void acts like a super magnet for prosperity. Catherine Ponder gave us a prayer treatment for exactly this. And I want you to hear it, because these words have the power to shift your entire neural wiring. She said, "I now let go of worn-out things, worn-out conditions, and worn-out relationships. Divine order is now established and maintained in me and in my world. All that has offended me, I forgive. Within and without, I forgive. Things past, things present, things future, I forgive." Now let's talk about the money mindset specifically, because the biggest vacuum you need to create is in your brain. You have been programmed for poverty. Society, your parents, your friends, the news, they have trained you to see lack, to fear scarcity, and to worship the act of holding on. Catherine Ponder wrote, "Poverty is a form of hell caused by man's blindness to God's unlimited good for him. You should be prosperous, well-supplied, and have abundance of good, because it is your divine heritage." Did you catch that? She doesn't say maybe you should be prosperous. She says it is your divine heritage. It is your birthright. But you have been claiming the wrong inheritance. Every time you say, "I can't afford that," you are closing a door. Every time you say, "Money is the root of all evil," you are pushing abundance away. You have to create a vacuum in your consciousness for wealth. How do you do that? You start using denials and affirmations to clean house. You deny the power of poverty. You say out loud, "There is no lack in my universe. The only lack is the lack in my mind." You affirm, "Every day in every way, I'm growing richer and richer." But you have to mean it. You have to say it until your subconscious believes it. Ponder talks about the creative law of prosperity, which is a 3-step process. You write down your desire. You imagine it vividly. And you constantly affirm its perfect outcome. But notice the first step isn't asking. The first step is writing it down. Why? Because writing clarifies. Writing creates order. And before God or the universe can send you the new thing, you must establish order in your current situation. As she famously said, It is said that God withholds the next development until order is first established in the present situation. That is a tough pill to swallow, isn't it? It means you can't just manifest a mansion while you're living in a pigsty. You have to clean the pigsty. You have to weed the garden. Are you starting to see the pattern? Clearing the physical, clearing the emotional, clearing the mental. You have to make space. Rich people understand this intuitively. That is why the wealthy are always circulating things. They donate clothes. They give away books. They invest in assets and move money around. They aren't hoarders. Hoarding is a poverty mentality. Hoarding says, I am afraid there won't be enough. But abundance mentality says, I am a channel, not a reservoir. Catherine Ponder also taught the circulation law. Miserly hoarding leads to recession. If you dam up a stream, the water becomes stagnant. You have to let the water flow through you. You have to let go of the fear of losing what you have. Because the moment you let go, you declare to the universe, I am ready. I have space. Bring me the next level. Think about the most successful people you know. Are they stressed out, clutching their pearls, afraid to spend a dime? Usually not. They walk with a certain looseness, a certain generosity of spirit. They know that if they lose a client, a bigger one is coming. They know that if a relationship ends, a better one is on the horizon. They know this because they have tested the law of vacuum. They have thrown open the windows of their life and let the stale air out. They have risked the discomfort of the void, and they have seen that the void doesn't stay empty for long. It fills with something better. Now, I want to give you 3 practical actions you can take today. Not tomorrow, today. The second this video ends, you need to move. Number 1, do a physical purge. Go to the room in your house that is the most cluttered. It might be your closet, your garage, your office, or your kitchen. And I want you to pick up 5 items that you have not used in the last 6 months. Do not try to sell them on Facebook Marketplace. Do not list them on eBay with a starting bid. Give them away. Immediately, take the energy of release. You're making a statement to the universe that you are upgrading your life. If you want to be prosperous, you must act like you're already on the way to bigger things. Someone who is moving to a bigger house doesn't pack up the trash. They leave it behind. You're leaving the trash behind. This single act of physical decluttering does something magical to your psychology. It breaks the inertia. It reminds your body that change is possible. Number 2, write an elimination letter. Catherine Ponder taught this technique specifically. Take a piece of paper. Write down at the top, I am ready to release. And then write down every single thing that is bothering you. Write down the fears. Write down the limiting beliefs like, I'm not smart enough, or my family was always broke. Write down the toxic people who drain your energy. Write down the job tasks you hate. Write down the grudges. Do not filter. Do not judge. Just pour out onto the paper. And when you're done, look at that list. Say out loud, by the law of vacuum, I release you. You no longer serve me. I am expelling you from my energy field. Then physically dispose of the list. Burn it. Shred it. Throw it in the trash. That is a ritual of mental cleansing. That is you manually creating a vacuum in your subconscious. Number 3, send a blessing. This ties back to forgiveness, but it is even more active. Find someone who you feel has wronged you, and in your mind, or better yet in a text or email, say something kind to them. Not to reconcile necessarily, but to cut the thread. Catherine Ponder said, the forgiving state of mind is a magnetic power for attracting good. When you send a blessing, you are releasing the magnetic lock of resentment. You are creating a spiritual vacuum. And trust me, the universe loves to fill a vacuum that smells like love and freedom. Now look, I know some of you are scared. You are afraid that if you let go of the clutter, you will have nothing. You are afraid that if you forgive the person who hurt you, you are saying what they did was okay. You are afraid that if you stop worrying about money, you will go broke. That is the ego talking. That is the scarcity parasite living in your head. But I need you to understand the real risk. The real risk is staying stuck. The real risk is waking up 5 years from now in the same job, the same weight, the same loneliness, the same poverty, only older and more bitter. That is the hell that so many people choose because they are too afraid to release their grip on nothing. You have to decide today. You're either going to be a student of the law of vacuum, or you're going to be a victim of stagnation. Catherine Ponder didn't just write about this. She lived it. She went from a broken divorce in a tiny room to becoming one of the most influential prosperity writers of the 20th century because she kept creating vacuums. She kept letting go. She said, if you want greater prosperity in your life, start forming a vacuum to receive it. That is the commandment. It is not a suggestion. It is a cosmic rule, and the universe is waiting for your move. I want you to take a moment. Close your eyes if you can. Feel the weight you are carrying right now. Feel the stress in your shoulders. Feel the tightness in your chest. That is the weight of holding on. Now imagine what it would feel like to release it all. Imagine the feeling of an empty closet, a clear desk, a clean heart, a forgiven past. Imagine the lightness of not caring what that person thinks anymore. Imagine the confidence of knowing that a vacuum is not an absence of good, but a promise of greater good. That lightness, that freedom, that is your natural state. And you can return to it right now. You have permission to let go. You have permission to be prosperous. You have permission to be happy. Take a deep breath, and on the exhale, say this affirmation with me. I now let go of worn-out things, worn-out conditions, and worn-out relationships. Divine order is now established and maintained in me and in my world. All that has offended me, I forgive. I am free, and now I make way for my greater good.